What I'm gonna look into right now is the whole thing regarding sugar, happiness, and ending up, in that rageful anger place, and also like being kind of like pushed down, hit, and unable to be yourself. When I looked into it, like just like read that phrase, I started getting like visuals on what's going on, and I want to focus on this crystal place. You might have seen our videos where we reach, we visit this place in Andromeda. There's basically this facility with tons of these crystals, and each crystal is like a little programming thing. And I'm pretty sure you have some connections in there as well. It's like there's billions and quadrillions things, like little these crystals, and they're programmed, and some of them are connected to the whole humanity, some of them are connected to specific people, and others are related to other things in this like three-dimensional thing. The thing that stands out right now is that happiness here on Earth is kind of forbidden. It doesn't matter how you get it, whether people are playing video games, whether they're smoking, drinking, eating sugar, having sex, or something else. There are tons of ways to get happy. And let's say for you, eating a little bit of sugar, whether it's chocolate, you get a little bit of dopamine. But it's still against the rules here. Like there's this program where people are not supposed to be happy. I'm gonna focus in more like on this crystal place and see what I find like regarding happiness, sugar, and like these hits where like you get really rageful and anger and stuff like that. I think I'm looking right now at the crystal place, and it's like how do I say it? Whenever someone gets happy, there's like a level, like a limit, how much happy we can get. And some people might pet a puppy and like feel like yay finally, but this kind of like like minimal happiness, like it's like the kind of like a normal state where you're not feeling too happy or too sad. It's just like a neutral. That is kind of like okay. But the moment people get really happy, when they get excited, when they get passionate, when they finally like, hey, this is good, and they finally enjoy their life, it's like it's off the chart stats, and now it's more like you're wanted. So every time, doesn't matter who it is, whenever someone gets happy, whenever someone is feeling good, like relaxed, and like finally like, just like like kind of like really good state, these people get targeted for that. These people get targeted because it's as if like in this massive darkness you start shining. Whenever you feel good, whether it was the sugar hit you got, whether it was something else, you might pet a puppy, you might have sex, you might have something else. Whenever you get happy or feel good, this sort of makes you shine spiritually in the actual levels and stuff. And now for all these beings, the dark side, the entities, reptilians, and other beings, it's like your consciousness gets a target. Because now they know like, hey, you are going on the higher levels, and if you stay there, you will be able to pick up too much. You're gonna get, like, be able to connect with other beings. You're gonna be, like, in the higher vibes where they can't target you, they can't mess with you and stuff. And finally, even if it's, like, artificial caused by sugar, like, short, like, like, it doesn't last long, but just, like, hey, you got your sugar hit, and that really, like, makes you, like, feel good, they target us in lots of ways. Some of their ways is this causing this, like, paradigm crash. You get happy, you get, like, feeling good, and next thing you know, everything's gonna fall apart. It's like Murphy's Law on steroids. Everything that can go wrong will. And they're trying to basically destroy our lives. Mess with people around us, mess with us, trigger those around us where, like it might be a stranger, it might be someone around you, someone close to you, but these people all of a sudden start acting like arrogant, aggressive, doing things that will trigger the hell out of you, doing things that will push your limits and really cause you to get like angry or like like kind of like really push out of your comfort zone. And so like these people are controlled. It's just like someone else, like they know that if they cannot get to you straight, they're gonna use those around you. So people around you are getting, are being used. Now there's also entities trying to target you, trying to get close and mess with you, put thoughts in your space and stuff. But there's also like, let's say when people are being controlled, a lot of events can go wrong. because someone might take a wrong turn with the car and cause a traffic jam, and all of a sudden you're stuck. People at your work can go nuts and cause lots of trouble, or you're trying to fix documents for yourself and it's just like not going through because people are just not feeling good today. So a lot depends on others and they're being controlled. So if you get happy, if you're doing good, it's like a given in this world that something's bad is going to happen right away. And if you're doing good today, tomorrow you're going to feel like shit. So there's a sort of programming where people are not allowed to be happy, but it's just like sort of like light terms. The other way they can mess with us is that they can inflict these negative emotions and feelings. You get happy, like, finally, like, hey, I'm feeling good today. And next thing you know, 5 minutes later, a few hours later, a few days later, you start getting like this anger, this rage, this being pissed off. And it just goes nuts. So, like, these beings, it's like they have this program. We are not allowed to be happy and feel good for a long period of times. It has to be short, 5 seconds or less, but then, it's kind of like we can't be too happy for too long. Otherwise, we kind of get in their targeted list, we kind of get wanted for, like finally getting out there, because let's say you get really happy, you get like a high vibrational state, and then you go to sleep at some point in the day. And you have a high ability to get out of body, because you are in a high vibrational state. And some people might not be aware that they get out of body, but when you're feeling really good, you get in these really good places out there. You go to fourth, fifth dimension, or even planes that are not connected to this whole duality thing. And all of a sudden you're free, and you understand that there's a whole lot more out there. So for people, if they are doing good in life, it's a really bad news for the bad guys, so they have to do something to mess with us. And I'm going to focus in on more of this like crystal place, see what kind of programming is more connected to like trying to keep humanity under the shell and really messes up. Another thing that pops up in this whole thing is that, let's say you get happy and you're doing good, whether it's sugar or something else, and you're finally like feeling much better than usual. And even if it's just a temporary thing, things are going good and smooth, it's not good for them. It's not good for the bad guys. And so they're using people around us, but basically they're draining their whole energy and like sort of like implant this mechanism that will work like a magnet and drain everyone else. So they become like energy vampires. And these people, they might be best friends, they might be family, might be strangers. Doesn't matter if you know them or not. They might appear really good one day. They might be really energetic, really strong and charismatic and stuff like that. But next thing you know, when they get close to you, all of a sudden your whole energy disappears and you get like really tired, exhausted, triggered, left with nothing, like this emptiness, these like really harsh feelings, like like kind of like sadness and doubt and like stressful, not trusting yourself. A lot of like your good emotions and feeling states just drops heavily. So these people, like around us, it can be anyone. You can kind of like never tell who, but basically anyone around us can get used, and they get this like an implant, like let's say like this like invisible drone flying around everyone and trying to stick to them when they're close to you, so that they would use the person and that like implanted like thing like a drone to just suck out our energy, like really deplete us out of that. Because like you might be feeling great, and next thing you know, you're kind of like depressed, don't want to do anything, bored as hell, just like fuck this life, don't find anything interesting and stuff. So there's a lot of these things happening where they really try to take everything away from you and like really push you down. As I'm focusing in, it is as if these guys, they have these, let's say, entities within us, and these entities are like nano size, like basically invisible to the naked eye, like, and they're living within our system, like within our body. Like we consider having bacteria and parasites and funguses within our system and our body is basically the same thing with the entities. They're there within our body, and those entities are basically monitoring us 24/7. It's not just our thoughts that they're looking at, it's not just our vibration and the feeling state and how we're doing in life. They literally have to check absolutely everything. 24/7, they're keeping their eye on us inside and out. And from the inside, they're watching how your body system is doing. How like are your chemical levels? Are you feeling, like, do you have any serotonin, dopamine going on? Do you have any oxytocin and stuff? And they're looking for these good chemicals within our system, and it has to be really low. Otherwise, if all those good chemicals make us feel good, it's already ringing their radars. If it has cortisol, they're like, heck yeah, go on boys and mess with them. So they have to trigger cortisol to have a lot of entities come to our space and try to trigger us more and like just basically suck out our luge. But when we have the good feeling states, like when the dopamine comes in, when we have serotonin, when we have oxytocin, endorphins coming up, all of a sudden it like rings their radars, and for them it's not bad news. So whenever your body is doing better, even if it's just like like on a biological level, like your system, and you might not feel it yet, really like not being focused on it, not really be like, hey, I'm feeling really good, I'm gonna do something about it or with it, it might just be like you just woke up and you're feeling like rested. That's not good for them. So whenever your body has chemicals that are like working all right and they're actually finally getting up and stuff, and you basically have no cortisol, it rings their radars, and now they have to go and mess with you. Just try to cause various situations in life where you're stuck in a traffic jam, where you have people at school messing with you, where you have like coworkers say something nasty and stuff. It's like everyone around us get used to do something to trigger us. Oh, and there's another thing. It's like by their system and standards. In the past, in my videos and elsewhere, like I talk from these cans I did, where, let's say, the sexual energy, when people are having sex and there's like these sacrifices involving the raping and stuff, it gathers up a lot of this like energy, life essence, and luge, and it just like feeds all the bad guys. But there's also the part where people in relationship, they might have this alien love bite thing going, or they might simply like be like really in love but have some issues, and they like really love each other, but all of a sudden it just messes up their system. These are like few of the ways how they can gather a lot of the luge, but one of the other like strongest ways how they can just power themselves up is like every person is like a walking power plant, but just like infinite energy source. And the thing about these bad guys, they see us doing good, they have to target us, and one of the best ways they can do is set up these triggers where if we feel happy, all of a sudden, like let's say you're having a normal day and you might eat a little bit of sugar, whether it's chocolate or something else, where you have sex, or like various things you can do to get happy, to get dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins and stuff. Whenever your system starts feeling better and you're finally like enjoying life, at least for a little bit, if you're feeling happy even for a little bit, it basically, what they have to do is cause a paradigm crash. So they have to send you up, make you feel really good, and next thing you know, you're crashing down. So they're really trying to raise you up so that they could crash you back and forth, back and forth. It's like an emotional roller coaster going on 24/7. And the more they do that is basically the more control they have over us, because now it triggers the hell out of us. It sucks out a lot of our illusion stuff. But another thing that happens is like, it's kind of like they're trying to program us. It's like, every time a doggy does something, it's as if like they would have a collar like this, like a leash and a collar that would electrify them, right? So same thing with humans. Whenever we get happy and like, hey, we're doing good, and then this paradigm crash and everything crashes, we're feeling bad and like it's all like fucked up. It's basically programming whenever we feel good, we are expecting something bad. So all of a sudden they're training us to attract and create something bad so that we can't stay good. This life, they're trying to create these beliefs where we can't be happy, we can't be satisfied, we can't live in freedom. And all of these things will try to keep us like sort of limited and always thinking negative, always focusing on the bad stuff, always being very of like, hey, what if this happens? What if that happens? They kind of like being cautious and like worried and stuff. Like they're trying to trigger a lot of these things to control us and keep us on this limited level. But if like, let's say, whole humanity is in this state, they're constantly creating something negative. So it's like it's a massive thing for like keeping people, like sort of like programmed to the point where they can't be happy, don't chase happiness in this world, and like they're gonna try to send people like against you, like set up entities, other beings, events in life, everything they can to mess you up. But then the moment we give up on this, the moment we're like, I'm never gonna be happy, I'm never gonna find love, I'm never gonna be this, a lot of these like beliefs we have about how life is never gonna be how we want it, this is exactly what they want, to program us, to make us believe that we're never gonna reach that place, we're never gonna be satisfied or happy or like have what we want. And it's like this constant like programming where they take away all of our powers, because our creativity, intentions, our beliefs creates everything. And if they can program on what we're focusing on what our intentions are and our beliefs are, then basically they are using us to create whatever they want. These crystals that are programming humanity, that are programming us to be unhappy, to be kind of like careful and always expect the worst, it's just like constant thing to keep us, suppressed and stuff. Alright, as I'm like destroying these things, another thing that pops out, if you've heard about this thing like voice to skull, where people can have a normal day, like live an everyday life, but all of a sudden, it's simply they have like technology to sort of like send these thoughts in our head in the feeling states, and all of a sudden we feel this, and whatever they want us to think, we think it, and it's in our system, like it's in our mind and all. And these things like pop up and control what we focus on, what we feel, what we believe in, and all that. Another thing that happens, and it's more like higher tech, like whatever they have on Earth with all the ultra programming, with all the technologies, like I've heard that pretty much like this whole mind control, let's say, was started like some of the technologies was like around 1974, where they were learning to transmit thoughts into someone else's head to be able to control their emotions, to cause this artificial tinnitus, ringing in ears and stuff, and move our bodies how they want. So like these are like still pretty small things that happens on Earth. This is what humans are doing. This is still a very small and not sophisticated technology. Now imagine moving a few billions, trillions, quadrillion years forward, where beings out there, they've been using these technologies for so long that they can control few populations, that the whole system, the whole galaxy can be controlled by using one simple technology. Pretty much look into that and just focus on it. Because right now, this is what's going on. There are other beings who are focused on messing with people, whether it is humans or someone else, doesn't matter, but they have technologies, they want power, control, domination, and this is what they're doing. So what's happening is, again, like there are limits on how happy we can be, how good we can do in life, and there's a limit to, like how we're gonna feel throughout the day. We are not allowed to move forward, to feel good, to do something passionate and like really focus on something that we like. They're not allowing us that. Like they're really trying to keep us shut down. And in one of their technologies, it's like whenever you're feeling good, they're gonna sort of like transmute your good feeling state into something negative. So if you're feeling happy, if you're feeling loving, if you're feeling like, hey, you're passionate, you're great, if you want to do something with it, all this good energy all of a sudden gets transmuted and transformed into this negativity, anger, being pissed off, triggered, disappointed, and like all of a sudden, you felt good, you might have ate sugar, you might have done something else, but they just use their technology to turn our good feelings into something negative, and now we are raging all over the place, cussing, and it's basically they take control over us. It's kind of like we're not really aware that we're doing it until it's kind of like too late. Like what the fuck? What just happened? Like you were doing really good and happy. Next thing you know, you just caused the thing. You were bickering with someone, and you were not conscious. You were not really aware what you were doing and stuff until it's kind of like over.